What's up, guys? I'm back today with another movie review, and this time it's Avengers Infinity War. And I just saw this movie, and the reason I wanted to do this was because I honestly think this is one of the most overrated movies of all time. Now let me clarify by saying I liked this movie, I thought it was a good movie, but the things I heard coming into it were that it was incredible. I heard some people say it was one of the best movies they've ever seen, and for me, it was good, but it was not that good. So I wanted to talk about some of the problems I had with this movie that bothered me. And I guess the first thing I'll talk about is this, because I think it's the quickest one to talk about, is I thought this movie got too cute at times. And what I mean by that is just the jokes and the humor. I know that's what Marvel does. They like to work in jokes and humor into their movies, and I don't have a problem with that, usually. But in this movie, there were a few times where I was like, okay, this guy's about to be able to kill half of the people in the universe. Maybe we don't need to work in a joke or sarcasm at every opportunity we get. And so yeah, that was one of the problems I had with this movie. The next one, these will probably be a little bit out of order as I just try to remember everything. So I guess the next problem I had that I'll talk about is just Star-Lord's character, basically. I hated him in this movie, and the main reason for that is they were like a second away from pulling the glove off of Thanos' hand and basically taking away all of his power and being able to kill him. And this dude attacks him and wakes him up and gives him all of his power back. And I know Star-Lord is like a screw-up, he's a little bit of that dumb character, but let's be honest, like, this is a special kind of dumb. Like, I just don't understand how he doesn't think like, oh, well, we're going to be able to kill this guy in a second when we take this glove off because he won't have his powers anymore. And he decides to hit him anyways, give him his powers, and even though he probably knew he would get his ass kicked if he had his powers, it just didn't really make any sense to me. I thought that was stupid. So that was one of the problems I had with this movie. Another one was at the battle at Wakanda. I don't understand how they just lose track of one of the main two bad guys that were there. They know the two people that they have to keep their eyes on and not lose track of, and they just somehow let this guy into the building where Vision is. That just didn't make any sense to me at all. I feel like they would have definitely prioritized him and not just let him walk in the building. So that was one of the other problems I had with this. Another problem I had was Doctor Strange's character. The time travel just doesn't really make any sense to me. But time travel is always kind of a weird thing that doesn't always make sense whenever it's in anything, so I probably just leave that one alone, I guess. But another big issue I had with him, which this honestly is probably my biggest issue with the entire movie, was when he tells Tony Stark that he looked into the future at 14 million different possible outcomes of this fight, and Tony Stark asked him how many they win. And in the lead up to this, in my head, I was literally saying, don't say one, don't say one, don't say one, and this fucking guy says one. I mean, come on, 14 million possible outcomes, you're only winning one? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. It's such a predictable and annoying line. I absolutely hated it. And also, now I'm going to have a problem with it if they win, because there were 14 million possible outcomes, you only won one, and they're somehow going to perfectly execute it with the guy who saw the future outcome that they win not even alive. I mean, how are they going to do that? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And then I guess that's really it for the problems I had with this movie. Again, the time travel, like Thanos just being able to bring Vision back to life, like bringing time back to when he was alive, doesn't really make sense to me because there's so many like things that Doctor Strange could have done with time travel to make Thanos not able to like let's just say Doctor Strange goes back in time to before Star-Lord attacks Thanos. Like, he just stops Star-Lord from doing that, and they take the glove off, and boom, they win. How is that not one of the possible outcomes? Like, it just... that whole situation with Doctor Strange just doesn't make any sense to me, and it bothers me. So, I had a big problem with that. As for what this movie got right, I mean, basically, the answer to that is Thanos. Thanos is just an incredible character. Not only does he kick the ever-living shit out of everyone, but he's also just an interesting character. He legitimately thinks what he's doing is right for the world. He thinks it's good. So he's an interesting bad guy in that perspective because, like, how bad of a guy is he really? Or at least, I mean, his intentions aren't that bad. So I really liked Thanos' character in this movie. I thought he was great, and honestly, it's the main reason I liked the movie. So, yeah, I think that's all I really got on this review. Again, I didn't think it was a bad movie. I just thought it was incredibly overrated because of how hyped up it was. For me, it was good, but it wasn't great. So yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.